Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. This is Marty Grunder from the Grow Group, and I have with me today a very special guest, my good friend, Kevin Kehoe. Kevin, how you doing, brother?
Good morning or good afternoon, Marty. Doing
Yeah,
well, thank you.
it is. I'm in cold Ohio. You're in sunny Arizona. Kevin is my good friend that for years was on the road helping the owners and leaders of landscaping companies grow their businesses by sharing his financial and business acumen with them. And then Kevin, you are the founder of Aspire, which is a tremendous software program. I think it's close to $4 billion worth of revenue is run through Aspire on an annual basis. Grunder Landscaping Company is a very satisfied client of Aspire. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now, and we would love to get some wisdom on what you see the next couple of years going with business for us landscape contractors. Take it away.
Thanks, Marty. First off, just a hello to everyone out there. And Marty, what I'm doing now, I'm essentially retired from Aspire in many ways. And so I'm doing a lot working on my book. I just had it published this past November. And I'm also, given that we cashed out very well with Aspire, I'm working on my charity foundation. So those two things, plus I'm starting a trial for my cancer next week, which I hope will produce great results over in California. And it's spending more time with my wife, which is pretty cool. So that's what I'm up to.
Well,
Yeah, next couple of years, what do I think? I think that was your question.
yes.
I think what goes up always comes down. This is certainly true. And I think we will definitely see a correction within the next 2 years. Whether it happens in 22 or 23, it'll happen. And it always does. If you've been around long enough. And the reasons for that, I think, are pretty simple. I think that, inflation is going to crimp people's ability to purchase. I also think that the demand is going to run thin ultimately, and then we have supply issues, obviously, on the labor and material side. Right. So I think all those things are going to demand, or you can conclude, you better be prepared for a downturn.
Right, exactly. Kevin, you're a warrior. I admire you greatly. Love hearing that. Life is a wave there with business as well. You're not going to ride those tall waves forever. And I think the message I heard you saying is, look, have some common sense here and be mindful that this good stuff is not going to last forever. And you better be wise about what you're doing with your business. Any other specific thing that you think the owners of landscaping companies should be doing right now?
Yeah, I think there are a couple very tactical things. Number one is pricing. Especially going into this year, you've got pricing adjustments. They're going to have to go up. There's just no doubt about it. You've got inflation in terms of costs in labor and materials, as I mentioned. So I think number one, you got to get your pricing right, which means it's going to increase. Number two, retention. All you can and need to do on retention, you need to start doing it now, especially on the maintenance side. Lastly, and this is really important, is you got to have a healthy balance sheet going into a downtime. And that means you probably want to delay some capital expenditures, and you really want to start paying down your debt, or you don't want to have excess capacity going into something like this, nor do you want to have such a heavy hangover, with debt that you have to pay every month. So tactically, those are the things I'd be doing as an owner.
And when you say retention, you're talking the retention of clients, not team members. Although retention of team members is important, you're referring to, making sure we've got these accounts lined up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Retention of team members for sure, but definitely the customers.
So the last thing I want to talk about is your new book, One Hit Wonder. And I had a long flight back from Phoenix when I was out there when I saw you. And I thoroughly enjoyed the book. And I think the main reason I enjoyed the book, Kevin, I know you and the stories. You're much more of a daredevil than I'll ever be. Doing things with tape recordings over mass speakers in foreign countries, wrecking on your motorcycle, other things. Why did you write the book, and why should someone pick up a copy?
I wrote the book because I had promised myself I would write a book at some point. So there's that. And then I think the other one was friends would say to me, Kehoe, you ought to write a book after I told a story or something over wine and dinner. And so I started collecting the stories. And ultimately, I got serious about it and started writing it down. You know, there are two parts, I think, or two audiences that this book is relevant for. Number one is the casual reader, because you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll see yourself in some of the stories, and it's just some good common sense wisdom. I also think it's good for business people because, you know, I look back on my own career and what we did and what we were able to accomplish with Aspire, what I was able to do with my clients and their success. And I think it comes down to leadership. And I think leadership comes down to, can you deal with people? And that's the big lesson I learned. You know, you look at the subtitle of the book and it says, Real Life Adventures of an Average Guy and the Lessons He Learned Along the Way. Well, all the lessons I learned are about how to deal with people. You know, that comes down to things like having vision, having a belief in that vision, be able to turn that into action. Don't get too arrogant. You know, remember and stay humble.
Well said.
You're always going to service somebody. If you can service, do great. And most of all, have the courage of your convictions, right? And so to me, that was some of the big lessons I learned. And if you can deal with people and you can do those things, you can lead. And so, you know, overall, Marty, I think, you know, given the audience, a couple of different audiences for your group out there, I think the business stuff is really good.
Well, we're going to be buying some more copies of your book. We're going to periodically be giving them away. But if you don't want to wait for me to give one away, pick it up. It's a great read. It's fun. One hit wonder, Kevin Kehoe. Kevin, before we wrap it up, I have one question to ask you. Are you allowed to rent rental cars from any rental car companies?
All except Avis, Marty.
Right. And
I've been banned for life from Avis.
Kevin is a real rebel rouser, and you'll read about it in the book where he's been banned permanently for life from renting cars from Avis. That was my favorite story in the book. Kevin, God bless you. You're a warrior. You keep fighting that cancer. We'll keep praying for you. I treasure our friendship, and I'm so glad you started Aspire, because it's changed my life. I know that sounds crazy, but it really has. Good managers make good decisions with good information, and that information we get out of Aspire that you created is amazing. So we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Marty. Delighted to be helpful. See you.
Thank you.